Well, it's now possible to apply gradients to closed entities in the gCADPlus environment. By way of illustration, notice that the rectangle in the illustration of a plant species called Hakea has a gradient. It starts from darker to lighter, working from bottom to top. And the way that's done is you just draw the rectangle, give it some sort of colour, and then fill it. Once it's filled, we'll unselect all, select the closed entity and come down here to gradient fill, and we'll take a linear gradient, and you can see here it's working from horizontal left to right, and if we were going to mimic the one on the left here, we would need to change that, and we'd go vertical bottom to top. And we can also change the length of the gradient. We could push it up as high as, say, 95, maximum of 100, see how much darker that is, and we could come down to, say, 45. Now it's a much lighter gradient. So we've got control over the direction of the gradient, the length of the gradient, and so on, using that particular tool. So any of the entities in this drawing could have a gradient attached to them, a linear gradient. If we swing to this drawing here, this gives a much more realistic view of when I think you might use a gradient. If we move up a little, this is a design for some planting just proximal to a custom fence, and we're looking in this elevation view across the plants planted in front of the fence. The fence is now in the background. So you can make the design look a little nicer by doing what we just did. Pick a rectangle, I've said linear, we're gradient length of 80, and we're running from vertical from top to bottom. So the end colour is the 151, the gradient start colour is the lighter colour. So you can experiment with these quite nicely, and you can get quite an interesting looking elevation view, a little more realistic than you might normally see in your CAD software prior to adding this particular facility. If we come to a layout view, there's the layout. Let's just see if we can save a print of that. So we'll go File and Save as a PDF. We'll put a window around it. I won't go for the maximum resolution. It might be a little challenging, but we'll just put, in fact, we'll put a box just inside the floating viewport here, and we'll call it, in our downloads folder, we'll just call it test. And gCADPlus will go away and generate that view, should show the gradient rather nicely, and starts, in my case, the custom viewer for PDF files, which is Adobe's Acrobat Reader. So let's zoom out just a little. So there's our view, and if we right click now, I'm not sure that we're actually looking at Acrobat Reader. Let me go to the desktop, and I'll go to my Finder, and here's our test drawing, and I'll right click and I'll open it with Acrobat Reader. That's a lot better, and I think I can now right click and do a marquee zoom. Let's look at an area like so. See, we've got very nice resolution, and if we come down through here, and I think it's Control minus steps us out, and there's our view, of the of the elevation view of the design. So all that's being done with one simple addition to gCADPlus. The ability to put a linear gradient in any closed entity.